Hi children. Today we are going to discuss about another important topic in the blood circulation system, that is single circulation or double circulation system. Single or double circulation system. So if you observe our blood circulation in the body, so generally the blood move out of the heart and reaches to body part, and from the body part it reaches to heart again, from the heart to lungs. So there is a pathway in our body, but the blood will not move like this in all the other living organisms. Each and every living organism have some different kinds of circulation systems in their body. Okay, for example, if you observe fishes or amphibians, etc., in their body the blood moves through the heart only once. Means what? From the heart to where? Body parts. Yes, upper parts and the lower parts. So the blood moves from the heart to body parts and from body parts to heart. So in this type of methods, blood can reach the heart only once. So that's why that is called a single circulation system. Okay, the blood can follow only one circuit. So that is called a single circulation system. This happens only very few animals. Okay, not few species. Now in some of the animals like human beings and mammals, etc., so the blood can follow the different way. For example, from the heart there are how many chambers? 4 chambers are there. From the right side chambers, the blood will go to the lungs. Yes, from the lungs the blood will reach to heart again. From the heart again the blood will go to all the body parts. From the heart again it will go to all the body parts. All the body parts. So from the heart the blood moves to lungs, impure blood, and the blood purification takes place. From the lungs again pure blood will reach to the heart. From the heart again the blood will move to all the body parts. So here what is happening, Nana? The blood is moving to the heart, from lungs to heart once, and from body parts to heart once. So in this type of method or in this type of circulation system, the blood moves through the heart 2 times. So that is called a double circulation method. Okay, so that is called a double. If the blood moves through the heart once per one cardiac cycle, that is called single circulation system. If the blood moves 2 times through the heart in a single cardiac cycle, so that is called a double circulation system. So we will need to mention one cardiac cycle term in writing the definition. Okay, now next important system in the blood vessel, that is called a lymphatic system. So in the previous class we discussed what different types of blood vessels like arteries and veins. So along with that we need to also discuss capillaries. Capillaries are what? Very small single cell, very small and single cell thickness blood vessels. So capillaries are what? Capillaries. Capillaries are what? It's a Latin word which means hair-like structure. So it is made up of what? Very thin blood vessels and very single cell wall blood vessels. So that leukocytes can also easily squeeze out of these cells. So blood vessels, that capillaries are very small hair-like structures, and that can supply the blood to each and every cell, and their wall is made up of single cell thickness, and even the blood vessels, blood cells like leukocytes can also squeeze it out of the capillaries. Okay, now next lymphatic system. So what is meant by lymphatic system? lymphatic system. So lymph is a Latin word which means water like structure, which means a water like structure. So what is lymphatic system? Before that, let's see. Generally, if you travel in a bus whole night without moving your legs, what happens by the next day? Somewhat we observe our slippers may become tight, or our legs, some people like old age people, their legs become swollen or bulging filled with water. Why this is happens? This is because of lymphatic system. So this kind of changes in our legs is called what? Edema. The disease is called edema. Okay, that situation or that condition, bulging of legs filled with a water like substance called lymph, because that is called what? Edema. Okay, now. So lymph is a Latin word which means water like substance. Why this happens? Why the condition of edema takes place? Let's see. The heart pumps the blood into where? Arteries. Then finally arteries reach to where? Capillaries. Capillaries pumps the blood where supplies to cells. So here, while the blood is transported to each and every cell, these capillaries carries lot of nutrients, water like liquids, salts and gases, etc. Whenever these capillaries are supplying the materials to the cells, some of the materials are pushed out of the capillaries, are pumped out of the capillaries, are squeezed out of the capillaries. Whenever these capillaries are pumping, are transporting the materials and blood to the cells, some of the fluids and some of the materials are pumped out of the capillaries and they reach in between the cells. They occupy the place in between the cells. So that is called what? Tissue fluid. So that is called tissue fluid. Means they occupy the space of intracellular gaps. So the intracellular spaces filled with the fluid which is pumped out of the capillaries. And this tissue fluid is again brought up into the blood system. So this tissue fluid is not left over there, so this tissue fluid should catch up by something and this tissue fluid again brought into the blood circulation system. To brought up this tissue fluid and to mix with the or to join again in the blood circulation system, we have another system called what? Lymphatic system. Okay. Of course, whenever the capillaries supplies the nutrients to the cells and they leave some tissue fluid in that, and this tissue fluid is collected by what? Veins are also called as venules. Okay. So the venules collect some amount of tissue fluid and they brought to the heart. But the remaining leftover tissue fluid is collected by the lymphatic system. Okay. So this lymphatic system is very much important. It's a connecting link between blood and cells. All the nutrients from the blood reach to cells, and from all the cells, waste materials are captured and collected and sent into the blood with the help of lymphatic system. Okay, lymphatic system supplies all the nutrients from blood to cells, and all the waste excretory materials from cells to blood collected by the lymphatic system and joins with the blood circulation system. So this lymphatic system is almost equal or parallel to the vein system. Wherever the tissue fluid is left over in the tissues, all the tissue fluid is collected and brought up into the veins, and this moves towards what? The heart. Okay, now like a veins. Whenever our muscles, leg muscles or hand muscles squeezes or moves, so with the pressure helps to move the lymph in the lymphatic vessels towards the heart. So like veins, lymph vessels also, lymphatic system is also contains what? valves. Lymphatic system also contains valves. Lymph vessels also contains valves like a veins. So they also move only unidirectional. The lymph in the lymph vessels can move only unidirectional towards the heart. Okay, now let's see. The blood which contains all the nutrients and all the components, solids and liquids and blood cells, etc. is called blood. The blood vessels carry what? Blood which contains all components. And what is meant by lymph? It is almost equal to the composition of the blood, but except solid components. Okay, lymph is almost equal to the blood, but it does not contain some of the solid components like blood vessels, etc. Okay, no. So we'll discuss more about the lymphatic system, how it is parallel, what is its functions in the higher classes. Okay, so till now lymphatic system is a parallel to venation. It collects all the tissue fluid and joins in the blood streaming. Okay, now next we'll discuss about blood pressure. Okay, now we'll discuss about blood pressure. So what is mean by blood pressure? So generally heart pumps blood into the arteries. Okay, so whenever the heart is pumping the blood into the arteries, the heart need to supply some amount of force or pressure. Means whenever the ventricles are contracting, they pushing the blood with a force into the arteries. Pushing the blood into the arteries, and these arteries carries the blood to each and every cell. Okay, so the blood is moving in the blood vessels with a pressure because of ventricular contraction. Because of this ventricular contraction, the blood is moving in the arteries with a pressure. So that is called the blood pressure. Okay, now generally this blood pressure is measured in the upper part of our left hand. So just above the left elbow, we measure the blood pressure of a person. Why? Because in our body, the blood pressure is different in different body parts. That's why we need to select one body part, and every time we need to measure the blood pressure of the person in the same part, and we need to make it compare each and every time. That help us to know the blood pressure of the patient. Okay, now to measure the blood pressure, we use one equipment that is called what, sphygmomanometer. What is that called? Sphygmomanometer. So with the help of sphygmomanometer, every time we measure the BP, blood pressure of a patient or a person on the left hand, just above the elbow. Okay, no. So let's see, whenever the ventricular contraction takes place, means, so whenever the ventricles are contracted, the blood is very forcefully pushed into the arteries. Now the pressure rises in the arteries. So that is called what, Nana? Systolic pressure. And this systolic pressure generally it is 120 mm of Hg, millimeters of mercury. So this is in a resting position of a person. Okay, now so this is 120 mm of Hg in the resting position of a person. Now whenever the ventricles are relaxing and they are filling with the blood, so there is a drop the pressure in the arteries. So whenever the ventricles are relaxing, so they are filling with the blood, that time the pressure drops in the arteries. So there is no pressure in the arteries. So that is called what, Nana? Diastolic pressure. That is called the diastolic pressure. So that is maybe 80 mm of Hg. Okay. So an average or adult healthy person in the rest position, the BP is measured as 120 by 80 mm of Hg. If the person's BP increases in the rest position, maybe it is not 120 by 80. So that time that person's BP is called as hypertension. Hypertension means whenever the blood pressure, systolic pressure and diastolic pressure increases more than its limit, standard limit in a resting position, that is called hypertension. If it decreases than its standard limit in the resting position, that is called hypotension. This is called high BP and low BP. Now another important topic about the blood, Nana, blood coagulation. Okay. Generally in your 9th class we have already studied what, Nana, about the blood and composition of the blood and the types of blood cells, etc. Okay, now blood coagulation. So what is meant by blood coagulation? Generally, whenever a person gets cuts or damaged or met with an accident, the blood flows out of his body. If it continues for few minutes, what happens, Nana? The person may lost all his blood, so he may die. Okay, now, so that is called bleeding. That's why doctors immediately treat him and supply with a lot of blood which is matching to his blood group. So generally, after the damage of the body, the blood can clot in 3 to 6 minutes in a healthy person. Sometimes 3 minutes and 5 minutes, 6 minutes, etc. Up to 3 to 6 minutes it will take. Okay, now, so that is called what, Nana? Blood clotting. So the bleeding can stop in 3 to 6 minutes. That is called what, Nana? Blood clotting. How the blood clotting takes place? Let's see. When a person gets cut, immediately the blood flows out of the damage. That time, the third type of blood cells, that is called what, Nana? Platelets. Whenever a person gets cuts or whenever a person is bleeding because of any damage or injury or accident, platelets release one chemical compound that is called what, Nana? Thrombokinase. Thrombokinase. So this thrombokinase works on another important chemical which present in the blood or blood plasma, that is called prothrombin. Prothrombin. And this thrombokinase works on prothrombin and converts into thrombin. Now this thrombin again works on fibrinogen. Fibrinogen present again in the blood plasma or blood, and this thrombin works on fibrinogen and converts it into fibrin threads or fibrin layers like structures. Okay, fibrin is what, Nana? Some threads like structures. Okay, and whenever we are get cut, so all the blood cells and other nutrients and etc. caught up are entangled in these fibrin layers or fibrin threads. And even these fibrin threads joins the borders of the damage. Whenever we get cut, these fibrin layers or fibrin threads will reach to the damage and they attach what, Nana? They attach the borders of the damage and they pull towards the inside. Okay, and all the blood cells can entangle there, and the bleeding can stop by producing some red color spots like structures. That is called the blood clotting, or also called as blood coagulation. All the blood cells can clot there, entangle there and stops bleeding, and this fibrin attached to the borders, edges of the damage, and it pulls the damage towards the center. So in this way we can heal from the damages by the blood clotting process. For this blood clotting, generally we take 3 to 6 minutes. But in some persons who are facing the deficiency of vitamin K, in the nutrition lesson we have already studied, who are facing the deficiency of vitamin K, the blood cannot clot in 3 to 6 minutes. So in that persons, what happens, even though they are they have a little bit damage or a small cutting also, they lost a lot of blood, means the blood flow takes place extremely. Excessive blood flow takes place. Then it leads to the death of a person. So vitamin K deficiency is also causes for excessive blood flow, and sometimes some genetical disorders like hemophilia. So because of this hemophilia, genetical disorder also, blood may not clot in the certain time. So it is also leads to blood flow. And another important genetical disorder is thalassemia. So these diseases are discussed in the annexure of our lesson. So we'll get back to you in the next class. But here only the hemophilia and thalassemia are the genetical disorders, also leads to blood loss. Okay, now next evolution in the blood circulation system. So generally, you know that the first life started in the water bodies. Whenever the unicellular organism started to construct the cell membrane surrounding its body, now the problem of transportation has arisen. Whenever the unicellular organism started to construct the cell membrane surrounding by the body, the problem of transportation has arisen. Now the simple unicellular organisms, they have some protoplasmic movements in their body. So their body is made up of single cell, and that cell is filled with cytoplasm, are also called as protoplasm. Okay, and these protoplasm shows some special movements, special currents or special movements that are called Brownian movements. What are that called? Brownian movements. So these Brownian movements can help in the transportation of materials in and out in a unicellular organisms. And even in the multicellular organisms, so they also have protoplasm, and their protoplasm also shows a Brownian movements for the transportation of materials. So that is called intracellular or intracellular transportation. So even though they are multicellular like human beings, their cells also possess Brownian movements or Brownian currents in the protoplasm. But these Brownian movements are not sufficient to transport the materials. Along with this, they also depend on separate systems for the movement of their materials. For example, poriferans like sponges. So for the transportation of materials, they depend on water currents. What is meant by water currents? The water can move always in a wave-like structure. So they depend on water currents. Sponges can depend on water currents for the movement of a transportation of food material. But these water currents are not equal all the times. That's why they have some special structures to produce the water currents on their body that are called flagellas. So by tapping the flagellas on the water bodies, they can produce the water currents for the movement of food material. Now, After the poriferas, these are poriferas. Now a little bit developed organisms like cnidarians, like hydra, etc. So they don't have any flagellas like structure, but their body have some cavities like structures, gastrovascular systems. Gastrovascular systems. So these gastrovascular system completely occupy in their body, and it supplies all the food and nutrients and oxygen to each and every cell directly to the cells. Each and every cells. Now next, after the cnidarians, platyhelminths. Platyhelminths. In the platyhelminths, they have there is no coelom in their body, so their complete body is filled with digestive system and excretory system. Most of their body is occupied with only two systems, digestive system and excretory system. So this digestive system take the role of supply of nutrition, and excretory system takes the role of taking the waste materials. So almost their body occupied with only these two systems. Digestive system directly supplies nutrients and oxygen to each and every cell, and excretory system collects the waste material. Now next word nematoda or nematyhelminths. So these are what pseudocoelomates. What is mean by pseudocoelomates? Means their body is filled with one cavity which is a false coelom. Okay, so this pseudocoelom can take the role of supplying all the nutrients and oxygen, etc., and collecting the waste materials. Okay, so up to this there is no blood circulation system, and there is no heart, no blood vessels, etc. Now from next, in the classification of living organisms, from the next level we see some pulsatile vessels and some pulsatile organs for blood circulation system. Let's see. The next level of organisms, what annelids. Annelids. For example, annelids are what example, earthworms, their body is segmented, etc. And for the first time we see a vessels, a pulsatile vessels, means like a blood vessels. In the first time we see annelids in the classification. Okay, now so they have some blood vessels to supply all the nutrients throughout the body. Okay, so pulsatile vessels we see for the first time in the annelids. So they have a circulation system. Then after the annelids, what so these are what eucoelomates, means they have completely developed coelomates. Okay, now so eucoelomates are complete coeloms. Now next, arthropods. So they are little bit developed than annelids. So they have a pulsatile organ for the pumping of blood. So that is called heart. So before the arthropods there is no organ for pumping of the blood, but for the first time in the arthropods we can see what a pulsatile organ like heart for the pumping of blood. But here in the arthropods, the blood is not pumped into the blood vessels. So there is no vessels. Here vessels are there in the previous group, but there is no vessels. Here the blood is pumped into where directly into the canals like structure, and these canals can transport the blood to each and every cell directly. And to supply of oxygen, they have what tracheal respiration, means the tubes, tracheoles, air pipes can supply oxygen directly to each and every cell. Tracheal respiration. So this kind of blood circulation means if the organ or heart supplies the blood into the canals like structure, means the blood is not supplied into the blood vessels, that is called open circulatory system. What is that called? Anna? Open circulatory system. Now from the arthropods, next stage molluscas, echinodermates and all the developed chordates. Chordates means what? Mammals, primates, etc. fishes, etc. They have separate organ for pumping of blood, that is called the heart. And this heart pumps the blood into the vessels, and these vessels can supply the blood and nutrients and oxygen to each and every cell. So this kind of circulation system is called what? Closed circulation system. Okay, now closed circulation system. Okay, now just imagine the capacity of the heart now. Just for if a drop of blood pushed out of the heart, if a drop of blood pushed out of the heart, from the heart it reached to where? Nana, tip of the toes, means legs, fingers, and to tip of the head. So to transport or to travel this much distance in our body, the drop of blood need to transport or travel almost 2 meters distance. Okay, so a drop of blood from the heart, again if it wants to reach the heart, it needs to travel almost 2 meters distance from heart to body parts like legs, and again from legs to body parts. Almost it needs to cover 2 meters of distance. So for this, almost our heart takes 60 seconds of time to transport a drop of blood from heart to body parts, tip of the body part, and from body part to again heart. Means to cover the 2 meters of distance, it takes 60 seconds time. But if the same distance is covered by the other methods like a diffusion or osmosis, etc., to transport the materials up to 2 meters distance, that if we depend on diffusion or osmosis process, it takes more than 60 years of time. More than 60 years of time. Okay, now that's why we need to depend on a complete developed circulation system. Okay, now if you have any doubts regarding the human circulation system, please text in the comment box. And in the next class, we'll come back with the circulation transportation system in the plants. Until bye guys.